Hey boys, welcome back to some Nrl Supercoach 2024 season, and it's going to be the official round one preview video. Obviously, we've already had the two games in Vegas, but this is going to be the standard preview for the round. We got a lot. Yeah, we still have a lot to decide with the team. Despite a few of our players already have taken the field, so we'll go through the dramas. We'll go through what I am looking at doing before officially round 1.5 starts. Let's just jump straight into it. So the main conundrum at the moment is the dummy half. So Danny Levi has been named to start. Tommy Starling is on the bench, which I think is good for Levi because we don't know. Fuck it. Levi could play the first 30 minutes and then Starling could play the rest of the game. Levi could play the first 50 minutes. He could play the first 60 minutes. They could have a 40-40 split. We don't know. I think from previous experiences with Ricky Stewart, it doesn't tell us that much, but I will say I think he does typically like to play Starling for fewer minutes because, he is more of that explosive dummy half. I always thought Starling was going to turn into a genuine Supercoach gun in dummy half, and maybe if he was at a different club, he could be because he's got that about him, but he just doesn't get the minutes, and that seems to be what Ricky Stewart likes, so I'm banking on Levi playing 40 minutes at the least, hopefully. He's 248k, or 238k, I should say. So, at the end of the day, I think he's worth the punt as your second cheap dummy half. The only other, if you wanted to, nuff out the dummy half to, save any sort of AE issue, I could get around that. Don't get me wrong. If you had a gun starting dummy half, you nuffed out Levi. Fair enough. Honestly, fair enough. I wouldn't hate it. Because for one, if you had enough in dummy half, let's just say, so Api Coruscant was a guy I'm looking at potentially as my starting dummy half. This there's more at play, and I'm probably not going to make the decision on the dummy half until the first game, or the third game, the Knights v Raiders game. Actually, is that going to stuff it up? No, it's not going to stuff it up because I'm obviously not going to start Levi, so it's fine. But I'm not going to make the final decision until the first game. So fuck, there's a lot to fucking puzzle around here. But if you're gonna go, let's say you got Levi and Api Coruscant is your dummy halves. Now, obviously, Api's not playing this week, so you're gonna get Levi's points. Now, again, he could come out and play big minutes, but even if he plays 60 minutes, he might only score 40 points. That's probably a little bit underselling it, but he could. 60 minutes, 40 points for a fairly stock standard dummy half. It's not out of the question. So is it really... The thing then becomes, do you just want to just nullify the risk? Because that's sort of the potential best case scenario for minutes. He could come in and play 30 to 40 minutes, right? And score diddly squat and make no cash and be a little bit of an AE nightmare. So if you wanted to nuff him, yeah, you would have to take your AE player this week, but you'd also get a free loop on your vice captain. So I'm of the mindset that I think the punt is worth taking for a bit of cash. The dummy halves are not centre wingers. They're not going to score 3 tries on the trot and jump up 100k quickly. So there is that, but I think with the lack of genuine cheapies at the moment, I think, in my opinion, I think taking the punt on Levi to hopefully play decent minutes, score okay, and make a bit of cash, I think that's for the best. And if you nuff them later, so be it. That's what I'm thinking. The reason why I said I'm not going to make the decision on the dummy half until this first game is because I've got Kalen Ponga as vice captain. And like I said, they play Thursday night. Knights v Raiders. I think Ponga is, in my mind, the best vice captain for me. I mean, a lot of people are straight captaining him, which is I totally understand. But I'm gonna put the vice captaincy on him. If he goes good, I don't know what I would take, because if he goes like honestly 100 plus, I'd be tempted. 110 plus, I'd probably lock it in. And if that was the case, I would just go from Brendan Hands up to Api Koroisau, because then I could just throw the captaincy on Koroisau. I would get the free loop, and then I would just get an AE, right? So it wouldn't matter too much if I played Levi or got the AE. It might not be that big a difference, even though I've got a couple of low scores already, but it's round 1 of the season, so that's what I'm talking about. Obviously, I'm not going to play Brendan Hands. He's obviously got to go. It's just a decision of who I go to, and we'll have a look at the dummy halves in a second as for other options. But obviously, Api he's tempting. The problem though, if Kalen Ponga doesn't, like, if Ponga goes, less than 100, even if he goes like 70, 80 points, it's still good, but I'm probably not going to loop it. So then the question remains, do I still bring in Api and play Levi as my starting dummy half? It's a little bit, especially with some low scores. Or do I just plug in another pretty solid mid-range to high-end guy that can hopefully get 50 to 60 points? I don't know. It's a pickle. It's a pickle, but we'll have a look in a second. But yeah, obviously at the moment we got 182 in the bank. It's not quite enough to go up to the players I'd like, but we can make money in certain spots, so that's fine. So Hands has got to go. Levi's locked in. Our front row. I don't even want to look at them. I don't even want to talk about them. But obviously they've played, so they're locked in. That's a bit of a wait and see. We don't, honestly. I don't know what's happening there. Our reserves. So, Sam Hughes, I mean, I'm not sold on Sam Hughes, but I think he can be okay. And then Farm Silly, he's got the starts. Like, I've got two dogs front rowers as my reserves. That seems absolutely horrendous, but I don't know. I mean, Farmer Silly is starting, which is good. He's pretty much bottom dollar. Like, what is he? 230k. Yeah, 238k. I think he's the same as Sam Hughes, actually. Yeah, they're both 238k. I mean, again, we'll have a quick look at any other options. I mean, there's a couple, but I don't really like any of them. Yeah, I don't particularly like any of them. So I think I might just take both of them and hopefully they both go decently. But at worst case, hopefully at least one of them will kick on potentially. That's sort of the, hedging the bets a little bit, hoping that they both do, a bit better than average. Or at least one of them goes and does decently. I guess that's the thoughts there. The back row. Oh man, those first 2 games. I love the footy being back, but it just brought Supercoach, man. It can be a real killer. Obviously, Piakora, the head knock, Tupanua with I think it was a groin injury at the end there. So they're locked in. Helam Lukey for me is locked in. I can't see myself not going Lukey. I'm a big fan. I guess the issue with Lukey is the fact that Fini Fuiaki is on the bench. I could save. I am gonna need a bit of cash somewhere. If I downgraded Lukey to a cheaper back row option, and actually, well, there is one guy. There is a cheapie, obviously, Joe Chan, who has popped up in the second row, who's starting for Melbourne. Obviously, I can make a couple $100K there going from Lukey. But, again, there's so many moving parts. So, there's good and bad things with that. So obviously, if I go from Lukey to Chan, that frees up a lot of cash, and I can fix up a lot of things. Like, I can easily get in a dummy half that I would want. I couldn't get in Grant, but honestly, I'm still not. I don't know. I'm just not sold on starting Grant. It could be a mistake, but I'm just not going to make that much cash to get him. But I could get any other dummy half I want, and then I probably would have a little bit of cash to upgrade someone else. Maybe one of these front row options, I could get someone slightly better. There's that. But then the negatives is that, so my back row is pretty much locked in. And I've got all the guys here, like, they've got good upside. They got great potential. Obviously, it started like absolute garbage, but they're all locked in. Like they're all locked in for spots, and they're all potentially really good value. Joe Chan, yes, he is a like bottom dollar cheapie second row forward starting. And if you've got a spot open, like if you had another cheapie or someone in the back row, obviously bring Chan in. But if you're in a position like me, it's sort of a blessing in disguise that it's a little bit annoying to bring him in, because at the end of the day, is Joe Chan really going to keep that spot? You've got Sean Bloor on the extended. You've got, Kane Bradley's on the extended as well. He played both trials. You got Solomona to come back into that team. So, in a position like mine, the money would be nice, but at the same time, Chan could be there for a couple of games and then all of a sudden he dips, or he goes back to the bench and becomes another nightmare. So I'm in sort of the opportunity that I can watch Chan for a couple of weeks to see if he cemented the spot, and if he actually looks good enough to if he keeps the spot, obviously it doesn't matter if he scores pretty low. He's obviously good enough to start, but that's sort of the thing. It's like, is it really worth bringing him in for one of these guys that I'm pretty, like, I like my back row. It's just it just hasn't started well. But yeah, that's tricky. Bo Fermor also locked in, Sean Lane locked in, and then Morgan Smithies. I was sort of looking at him. Maybe I could downgrade Smithies because his job security is probably the most flimsy out of these guys, because we don't know what's going to happen when Horsburgh comes back. But again, Smithies is only 345k, so it's like, again, I think Smithies is a really good option to start. But, and again, like, you just wait to see the rotation and the minutes for Chan and Smithies, and then make the decision in a couple of weeks. So it's like, do you make that? Do you do it now, or do you just wait and see? I guess at the end of the day, if I look over the team and I need the money, then yeah, I'll downgrade. Who do I want? I don't know. Firma, Lukey, or Smithies. You could take a big pot and downgrade Lane. Just the fact that Kelman Tuolangi's on the bench, but I don't know. Lane would be such a nightmare because he's so popular. If he crashed over for a trial too in that opening round, I'd be so fucking mad. If I downgraded him, like every player, but that's Supercoach. Our halves, so Hines, Cleary, it's still locked in. At the end of the day, I could make a lot of cash not going Cleary, but I just don't like any of the other options. Now after that first game, like, Luke Brooks is sort of, in hindsight, I'm sort of, even though he only scored 59 with a try and a line break, part of me is like, man, I sort of wish I took the punt on Brooks at either backup half or as my 5'8", but at the end of the day, he might not continue to play that well. Manly might go downhill after a couple of weeks. You never know. So I think our guns are still locked in. Dylan Brown, he had... Again, I'm... The thing with Brown, and the reason I'm honestly really considering downgrading Brown is because, like... And this is the thing, it's like downgrading Lukey to a Chan, right? Yeah, you make 200k. I could downgrade Brown to, more affordable players and make 200 to 300k. Dylan Brown is priced at almost 800,000, And really, you're never going to captain Dylan Brown. I mean, you could. Obviously, you could take a pod on a guy like Brown, but when you've got your gun halves, you've got your gun fullbacks, it's really difficult to captain or vice captain Dylan Brown. He just doesn't quite have the upside of some of those other guys. So it's spending almost $800K on a guy that you're not going to captain. It's way easier to downgrade than someone like a Cleary, even though he's obviously a fair bit more. But that's why I'm really considering it. But again, we'll look at options in a second here. I don't like any of the options. That's the fucking issue. Again, if I could go back in time, honestly, I would fucking take Luke Brooks over Dylan Brown in a heartbeat for the price and the potential upside. But other than that, I don't know. I don't particularly like any of the other guys. Ethan Strange, and again with Brown, like at the end of the day, he is the best 5'8" by a fair while. Obviously, him and Munster are going to score fairly similar, and then I think there's a big drop off. But the thing with Brown is that his availability is just so much better. Like he's durable. He doesn't play Origin. The Eels typically cover the buys great, so he's just by far the best 5'8". So at the end of the day, if I have to pay up for him, I'm not going to be that upset. The money would go a long way. Ethan Strange, he's locked in as the 5'8". I think the job security is pretty good, unless he absolutely stinks it up for a few rounds. Centre wing, so Benny Trebojevic is obviously locked in. Jacob Gagai, we took the punt on Gagai. I mean, I'm pretty happy with it. Like, the thing with Gagai is that, for one, I think his obviously issue is when Ty Munro comes back, he'll get the boot for Munro, you would expect, right? But Munro's only back, like, it's a bit of time before Munro is tipped to come back. So Gagai should get a few price rises. Obviously, it could change. I mean, when Wine comes back, potentially Kennar goes to the wing and Gagai drops off. But I don't know. From that game, I thought Gagai was really strong on the wing. I thought Kennar was a bit he didn't have his best game. So I think Gagai's locked that spot in until Munro comes back. And in worst case scenario, if Gagai does drop out in a couple, next week or the week after, when Origin time rolls around and Mitchell and, I mean, I guess even one said he maybe wants to play for New South Wales again. I don't know what's going on there, but with Mitchell being out, that opens a spot that maybe Gagai comes in around that Origin and bye period, which would be beautiful. So I think the Gagai choice up front was actually not bad. It's a gamble. It could, he could be a bit of a stinker that just sits there, but I'm not too concerned, honestly. It's fine. So another cheapie will pop up at some point that you can either sideways trade to or whatnot. The rest of them, so Bostock, I think Bostock's locked in. He's not bottom dollar, but at the end of the day, he's starting. The job security looks pretty okay. The Dolphins have a decent draw to start. He just needs to get on a bit of a try run and make some cash and try. He's a guy, I talked about it before. Just try to sell him at a decent peak in price as soon as possible, I think, because he's a guy that could make cash and then lose it like really quickly, just the way he plays. Drew Hutchison, he's locked in at the moment. I don't love it, but I don't know. Again, we'll look at the center wings to see if there's just anyone else that... There's other cheaper guys, but they're just... The job security is not good, and also just the role is not like great. So I don't know. Hutchison, halfback. Oh, I don't love it, but we'll have a look. Like I said, Benny's locked in. Taylor May's locked in. RTS is locked in. I was looking at RTS and was like, again, he's a guy you could downgrade to someone a little cheaper to make a little bit of cash if you needed, but I just love the idea of starting RTS. I love him as a player. I want to watch him. I want him in my Supercoach team, so I think I'm going to keep him. And then we do have Tuapiki, who, I mean, if we're going to pick him, he's starting fullback. for at least 3 weeks, which is not a lot, but you never know. Like, I think Chansey with a hamstring injury, that 3 week could be 4 or 5 weeks. I mean, I don't know. Tuapiki is not locked in, but he's just a good play as well. That's the other thing I like about Tuapiki is that you can play him in your 17, the fact that he's a starting fullback. So the job security is not good after a couple of weeks. I mean, it just depends when Chansey's back, but man, I don't know. Again, we'll have a look. We'll see if there's anyone else that piques my interest. But again, there are guys, but the job security is not good. So I don't know if it's... I think potentially taking Tuapiki and playing him for a couple of weeks and getting his points, and hopefully he scores well to make it worthwhile. And then again, worst case scenario, if Chance is good to go after a couple of weeks, or if he's on track better than expected, then sure, we can trade him to someone who is looking to, make cash, I guess. And then our fullbacks obviously are locked in. Tommy's played and Kalen Ponga is there. So let's go through options. So dummy half. Let's go through this. So at the moment, trading hands out, we got 524. So it's just, unfortunately, it's just slightly too little for anybody of note because we've got, Brandon Smith has already played. You do have Phoenix Crossland. He could have that starting spot for a few weeks with Brayley being out, but I don't particularly like it. Jacob Little is somewhat tempting at 458, but again, you've got Mulhausen on the bench, who I don't like. The thing is that I still think Little plays pretty good minutes with Mulhausen there, but if Little didn't have that goddamn hemi tweak in the trials, I'd be much more on it. But just going into a game with a slight niggle in the hemi, it's just a recipe for disaster. And I really, with all the other issues potentially already in the team, with Lenu and potentially Piacora's head knocks and Tupanua injury, I don't think I can take the risk on a Little. Just if he gets injured, there'd be too many players to worry about too early in the season, I think. We go down. Ray Stone. So Ray Stone is starting, obviously in place of Tim Gilbert, or Tom Gilbert. He was pretty solid last year. Obviously, he was much cheaper. He was $250K, and he didn't, he started pretty slow. The minutes weren't there, but then all of a sudden, no, he's just a little bit too expensive for what he can do, I think. Also, again, he's a guy he does not stay on the paddock for long enough. No, just don't even look at him. He is an absolute trap, in my opinion. Don't even tempt yourself. Anyone else? I don't think so. I guess you could take the punt on Joey Lussick, who's starting. He is a little bit cheaper, but I don't know. It's just... I don't love it. Is he really going to play much more than 40, 50 minutes with Brennan Hands on the bench? Surely not. And if he is, trade him in a... Nah, you just wouldn't. You just wouldn't start him. And then, there's no one else. So we do have to make a bit of cash. And if we make cash, the only guys I'm really interested in... Appy is obviously tempting. Again, if it would be so... this is the thing. If Ponga comes out and blitzes it, then honestly, Appy Coruscant is straight into the team because it's such an easy loop. I don't have to worry about bringing another Tiger player in that I don't want to try to make the loop happen. I just bring Appy straight into the team and it's problem solved. I just make the cash to bring him in. If Ponga doesn't kill it, you could still go Appy because I still think he's decent. But he could be great, but the buy and also the Tigers, it's a little dicey. Who do I like? I do like Wade Egan. I talked about it before. I don't love that. The other Lussick is on the bench. So it does take away Egan's long minutes, but I still think he's got good upside. I still think he can go well. Blake Brayley, Brayley's locked in for 80 minutes, but again, he's just never really, he's just so underwhelming. I think if you're going to spend this much, you just go Api Coruscant. He's just got better upside, because, you look at his, he plays 80 minutes most weeks. His scores are just not good. He's got 100 there, a few 30s, a lot of 40s, 85, 86, 88. 88 against Titans, 86 against Tigers, 85 against Bulldogs, and he got 100 against the shitty Roosters last year. So he's not got to score well against any sort of opposition. And what's his draw like? It's not a bad opening draw, actually. Warriors, Dogs, Tigers, Raiders, South, Cowboys. But again, I think you just go Api Coruscant. I think if you're going to spend the money, there's not much doing. That's pretty much. Reece Robson, I don't dislike. Fuck, dude. I just hope Ponga. I really need Ponga just to come out and go absolutely ballistic. Because the round can be saved with a massive vice captain, and it would make my decision so easy. Just go Api Coruscant, because I just don't like Reece Robson, Reed Marnie, and then I'm getting down to guys that I can afford. It's Wade Egan, Api, Reece, and that's it. It's not much. Oh, unless I made enough cash to go Damien Cook, not Damien Cook, Harry Grant, which, dude, 34% of people own Grant. Whew. It's a lot of people, and I understand it because the dummy halves are pretty shocking, but I think I'm going to stick with my guns of not going Grant to start the year. Because it happened last year, and I made the mistake last year because, let's have a look at Grant. Because I remember this vividly. I didn't start with Grant because, again, there were just better value picks. And I think, what did he start at price-wise? It was about the same, I think. He actually started a little bit more expensive, and he killed it to start the year, which maybe is bad signs. Maybe it's bad signs. But his draw was pretty good to start the year as well. So 91 against Parramatta, 74 against Dogs, and then 105 against the Gold Coast, right? So everyone was scrambling to get him in that didn't have him. And then I brought him in. I'm pretty sure I brought him in for that Tigers game, or it would have been somewhere close, because holy shit, he's going crazy. And now they got the Tigers. He scores 44, 81 is good, but then 65, 31, 104... 54, 79, 34, 34. He does have that ceiling. He does have the ceiling, but again, the other big thing is they take on Penrith in round one, so it's again, he is a guy that can burrow over for a couple of tries and get that ton, but I just don't like it. And I'm not going to be trapped in trying to get him in instantly. I think Grant is a guy that you can, fade for a decent chunk of the season, but we'll see. If every other dummy half absolutely sucks, and you probably got to try to, but that's what I'm thinking. Let's have a look at any other cheapy front row options. Let's just have a look. I'm not spending up, obviously, at the moment. Let's go through. So, Viliami Fafita, he's a popular option. He is dual Turaf, he's dual front row, he's bottom dollar, but I feel like he's going to be such a trap because Luciano Leilua is to come back into that team, and I wouldn't be shocked to see him depart. Again, it's probably not the worst thing if he does. I feel like you'd probably rather Fafita not be in the team. I feel like having a dual front row 2RF nuff that you can switch around is actually not the worst. I think it's better than him playing like 20 minutes and scoring 20 points. But I don't know. People are going him. I don't want to. I don't think it's good at the moment. I could be wrong. Again, if he comes out and brains it, then I'll trade to him. I'll get one of these other stinkers out and trade him in. But I just don't see it happening. Unless he goes crazy and scores a try every week. Who else have we got? So yeah, Farmasili, Sam Hughes there. Going down. So obviously McKaylee wasn't picked. Liam Henry is also a popular one, but Liam Henry's job security is a bit of an issue because Scott Sorensen, I forgot about that. I was talking about the Penrith Panthers and I was like looking at Luke Garner, like, is Luke Garner going to be the other starting back rower? But I was like, yeah, Sorensen wasn't named. So yeah, Sorensen has come back in, which would put Garner back to the bench, and Liam Henry, you would expect just with seniority, would probably be the guy that drops out. And also Mitch Kenny would come back to the team. So I think Liam Henry as well could be a bit of a trap. And yeah, just compared to Farmasili and Hughes, they're just a little bit not reliable in scoring because we don't know, but just in the team, you would think they got their spots at least somewhat locked in for a bit. That's why I'm not keen. Adam Mariotta, I would love to go, but one, he's a little bit more expensive, and two, again, job security. You got Horsburgh to come back. Elliot Whitehead is also not playing at the moment, so I think he should be playing. I think Mariotta is fantastic, but I couldn't go him. And then you're getting a bit too expensive at this point. Again, if you made money, the one guy who's still at a cheapy price that I wouldn't hate is the big man Royce Hunt. But I couldn't do it. I took the punt on Lenu and it backfired badly. And Royce Hunt, I think he could go okay, but the Sharks have a literal 4 middle forward bench. So I am not keen on going Royce Hunt as another punt that could prove to be a disaster. I mean, I don't think he's not going to lose money or anything, but I still don't like him. And then the rest, you're getting to points where if you want to spend up, yes, but I don't have the money. I don't have the money to do that, so that's fine. Let's just put Farmasili back in. Okay, sorry. Quick little break. I had to go check something, but we're back. Just finished on the front rowers. Back row, there's not too much to talk about. The only thing to look at with the back row I talked about was if we wanted to take Joe Chan, but I still think the money would be nice. And at the end of the day, we do need some money. If we have to downgrade one of these guys to Joe Chan, it's not the end of the world. It's definitely not the end of the world. We could definitely do Morgan Smithies to Chan. That would get us enough money to go Appy. Yeah. And I guess Smithies out of all these guys is still the most, I guess, potentially risky when the Raiders forwards all come back, and you could also have a good look at Smithies. So I don't hate it. If I don't need to, I sort of like the idea of not doing it if I don't need to, because of the fact that Chan is also a guy that, okay, you bring him in and then you use all, you don't, I'm not going to be having like that much cash left over, I think. So you bring Chan in, all of a sudden week 2, even round 3, he's out of the team. What do you do with him? You got to trade him out because there's so much value in the second row, but then you got to make money to get him up to anyone. So that's why I'm like, you just get a couple of looks at him. It's not the worst thing because everyone's going to jump on him, and then if they have to waste a trade getting him out, then you sort of get one up on people without an issue. And then when you bring him in, you're making cash to do whatever you want with. So if I don't have to, I'd like to not, but we may have to, because I mean, we'll look at the Cleary. No, this is the thing. I would much rather downgrade Brown than Cleary, but the problem is there are way less options in the 5'8" spot than there are halfbacks, and even the halfbacks, I don't think there's that many good options. Like, I mean, Moses is not the worst. Oh, what is Cleary's draw like? Obviously, the Storm is a tough game to start. Storm, Para, Bronx. It's a tough draw. Like, I know Parramatta can be a bit leaky, but they're gonna have a good team. I guess that's the flip side though. That's the flip side though, right? Because Mitchell Moses is going to be taking on the Panthers, so you would probably expect Cleary to definitely outscore Moses when they take on each other, but you never know. You never know. Broncos rematch, Roosters are looking good, Manly looking good. I just don't think it's worth it. I don't think there's anyone else I would rather go. I mean, Sean Johnson, I think he's priced at his peak, right? I think Johnson's still looking damn good. He was looking great in the trials, but I don't think he's going to go better than he did. Which you don't necessarily need him to. You just need him to score like about on par as Cleary, and they'll sort of even themselves out. But it's still like, I don't know. I think Cleary's more likely to pop off with a big 150 than Johnson is. And then going down, obviously you're not going to look any lower. It's just not viable. So let's have a look. Dylan Brown out. Is there anyone? I mean, we could. No, we can't, because Munster is in big doubt to play round one. So we could have made cash going to Munster, but no, we can't do that anymore. Cody Walker's already played, and I definitely wouldn't have gone him. Thomas Dearden is like, I gotta be honest, I'm so close to pulling the trigger on Dearden. I am so close. Because I feel like Dearden, he's just going to get better. He is a guy that I think can get better. I remember looking at his scores another time I was looking at 5'8", and I was like, they're just not good. Like, he's got a couple of big ones, which have bumped up his average. Like, this 3-run here was insane. But then, just a lot of low. Like, he scored 13. How did he score 13 against Penrith in the final round? What happened there? He played 80 minutes. And Penrith would have rested all their players, didn't they? I honestly don't remember the game, but how the hell's he managed 13? I guess it's good for the average coming into this year, but I mean, I remember looking at his scores and I'm just like, 29, 44, 39. Like, if he scored those three, you'd be like, oh, that's not good. Then 69, 61, 60, you'd be like, oh, that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. But then 29, 54, like, I don't know. He's got Dolphins, Newcastle Dragons, Bronx, Gold Coast. It's a good start for the Cowboys. And I guess that's the other thing. The Cowboys started terribly last year. You would expect them to start better. You would, but I also think Brown is going to come out and go. I think Brown is going to kill it, because he let him down last year. I think he's going to be fired up to start the year well. Like, the Parramatta Eels started terribly last year as well. So I think they're going to come out of the blocks really hard. And I mean, you just look at his scores compared to Dearden, and they're just so much better. Like, 32 against Melbourne in round one. I mean, it's against Melbourne round one, and it's round one of the season, so fair enough. Then he backs it up 105 and 88. He scores 47 against Penrith, which is pretty damn good. 50, 63, 60, 67. Like, these scores Dearden be getting like 30s. I mean, they're priced accordingly, but he's just so much more consistent. Oh, I don't know. I gotta be honest. The more I'm looking, going Dearden. Like, how much cash does that say? So let's have a quick play around. So okay, so we got Dearden in. If we trade out hands and bring in Appy, how much cash do we have left in the kitty? So we got 140k left, which is really nice. Honestly, it's really nice. We could. I don't want to bring in Royce Hunt, and there's no one else in that price range that I'd want for the front rowers, so that's fine. I know I haven't really looked at the centre wing yet, but let's just have a quick gander. Who's our most expensive guy? Probably, I mean, I'm happy with May and Tuvashek. If we got rid of Hutcho, 140k to spend, how much have we got? It's just not going to... It's not going to be enough to make a difference, is it? There's no one going to be... I mean, Sione Katoa, I actually don't mind him as a pod at 493. Moses Sully? I mean, I don't think I'm going to, but he looked damn good in the trials. That you cannot deny that. If it wants to load, please, for the love of God. Why is it taking so damn long? We'll just see if it refreshes. But anyone else around that price? Let's have a look at Sully. I mean, he's priced low, so he obviously did not score very well. Doesn't want to load. For God's sake, man. I love Supercoach. The app can be a little annoying at times if we're being honest. Come on, man. I just want to look. I just want to see. I want to see the potential upside. Even though I'm probably I'm a million to one to actually do this, but I still want to see it. Okay, here we go. So he had a bye in round 1 last year. I remember that. He played Gold Coast in his first game. He's got the Gold Coast in round 1 this year as well. Bro, he plays... I mean... No, that's last year. Fuck. I was looking at last year. I'm like, oh, he plays Gold Coast twice. But no, he's got Gold Coast, Dolphins, Cowboys, Manly, Newcastle, Titans. It's a pretty good draw. It is a pretty good draw. And he just looks so damaging. I feel like he could explode. But the Dragons, I don't know. I don't know what it is. They just don't seem to be able to get him in good positions enough. Because if we look at the scores, he goes 20, 27. How does he score so low for being such a beast? How, man? I mean, the rest of them are, pretty good. I mean, the 17 in only 43 minutes. He scored a 36 in 57. So he had a couple of injury-affected games as well, which have dented his scoring. And then actually finished pretty well, 59, 78, 50, 48. Again, is that I don't even think it's worth it though, because I'm not playing Hutchison. Because so here's the thing: is that worth it? Api Coruscant and Moses Sully compared to one Dylan Brown. I mean, probably not, because I'm not even playing Hutchison. And I'm if I brought Sully in, obviously I'd play him, but I'd be switching out Tuapiki, who I don't. If I'm going to select Tuapiki, I'm definitely going to play him as a starting fullback. So yeah, it's just not worth. It's definitely not worth bringing in. Yeah, doing it like that, because. Yeah, I think we got to make money another way. I think just keep Brown. Honestly, I think just keep Brown. I think trade Smithies. I think you just trade Smithies for Joe Chan. I think that's what I'm leaning towards. Because is there any other way? We haven't looked at cheapy, so we could make money here, I guess. If we go... I mean, let's have a look at Hutchison. I'm not that sold on Hutcho. I mean, I know there are a couple of cheaper options, but I don't love them. So we got Strange. So Nick Kotrick. I mean, it's only really Nick Kotrick. He's the only guy that's actually cheaper than Star and Jamin Salmon. But if I went Salmon, I wouldn't even have the cash to go up to Appy anyway. So it's fine. We don't have to worry about going. It's only before we even worry about it. If we go Kotrick, do we even have enough cash to go up to Appy? We do. Yeah, we do. But I just don't like Kotrick. I don't think it... because Kotrick could be out of the team. Yeah, I mean, Kotrick could be gone, like, in no time, right? Like, there's... Sebastian Chris is to come back into the side. Who does he replace? This is the thing. He could replace Albert Hopewade, but Hopewade was, like, getting the spot over Kotrick last year, right? So Hopewade, I honestly think Hopewade goes to the wing and Chris plays center, or Chris played fullback all last year and Rapiner is at fullback, so Chris could very easily go back to fullback and then Rapiner obviously has to go to the wing. Now Ricky Stewart obviously doesn't like Savage, so you could say, well, Savage will probably drop out, but I don't know. It could be either. I think Kotrick should drop out, but I don't think it's worth. I don't think it's worth it. I think you just lock Hutcho in, hope he does well. Again, if he doesn't, and if Kotrick keeps the spot and actually looks okay, because that's the other thing, he looks like garbage. I mean, we could go Savage over Hutchison, but again, Savage is just too risky. I think he could score well, but he's just too risky to start. But yeah, we can keep an eye, and if Hutchison stinks, like either Savage or Kotrick could be options to like downgrade or switch to, even like to a picky if worse comes to worse. So yeah, just keep those in the back of your mind. And I think you just go Smithies. Like, I'm trying to think, is there any other reason not to? Because at the moment, I'm not even playing Smithies in my 17. So he could come out and bang 60 in base, but like, I'm not playing him anyway. And again, like he's similar. Yeah. The more I'm looking at it, it's like, yeah, just trade Smithies. Trade Smithies to Chan. I don't love Chan. Well, I do love Chan. I actually think he's a damn good player. I don't love the job security, but I mean, cheapy price playing in this 2RF, like, it's pretty damn good. I know I talked about like having the cash there is nice, and I guess even like, so if we just lock in Appy now, we'll still have a bit of cash. We got 60k, which is not a lot. It's not a lot of money, but it is a little bit. It's a little bit of cash. I wouldn't... this is where it gets tricky, because I wouldn't mind... If I'm looking for the future, I'm expecting Lenu to get suspended. Now, I don't know what's going on there. Terrell May is the guy that I'm pretty confident I'm going to be bringing Terrell May into the team. Like, if Lenu is suspended, then Terrell May is coming straight in. Even with Hargraves coming back, Lenu's going to be gone. So Terrell May, he won't get affected. So he will come straight in. He's about... What is Terrell May? He's like 100k more than Spencer, I think. Or is he a little bit more than that? Is he 460 or is he 430? Where is he? Yeah, he's exactly 100k more than Lenu. So I would love to have 100k in the bank to go straight to there. again, you could easily... You could... There's just no good cheapies, man. There's no good cheapie center wings this year. There's none. Let's have a... So, I'm pretty locked into Tuivasa-Sheck, but is there anyone else around that price for a little bit cheaper that I don't dislike? I mean, I do like Timoko. He's obviously more expensive, but I mean, I could spend all the money. No, I'd just rather Tuivasa-Sheck. So they're going down. Where is Tuivasa-Sheck? Yeah, 430-ish. Yeah, 540. So we need to make like 40k. So just go down like 490. Don't even look at the other guys here. I mean, Sione Katoa. Yes, Sione Katoa is a guy that I actually am tempted in, just because the Sharks have a good draw. I think Sione, his try scoring was a bit down last year. Obviously, he is a guy reliant on tries, but you know, he's been up and about there before. I mean, I guess we did look at Moses Suli. Zach Labert, don't hate it. Anyone else? Anyone? I mean, Anari Tuala, you could take a big punt on Tuala because he's got that spot of Dom Young. I think Tuala is definitely very reliant on tries, and I know, and I've been talking about as well that he's on the Dom Young wing where he scored plenty of tries, but if you're looking at the tries Dom Young scored, I got to be honest, probably a third of those tries Tuala probably doesn't score, just with the speed and the athleticism of Dom Young. So you do have to temper your expectations a little bit, but I still think just playing outside of Dane Gagai, he's got the best quick hands in the fucking league, dude. He's so good that Tuala, he can still make plenty of line breaks and get into space. Oh, do you take the punt? I want RTS though. That's the problem. Oh, I want RTS in the team. It's honestly just so annoying that he had a big game against the Dogs and a big game against the Dragons, because he had a 27, a 57, 38, and a 18. His average could have been shocking. He could have come in so cheap this year, but he had a couple of big games. He's got Canberra, Cowboys, Melbourne. It's a bit of an up and down draw for the Knights, honestly. I don't love it. Sean Russell, I don't actually dislike. I think Russell could be a pretty good pod. And then anyone else, anyone cheaper? Rocco Berry, he's got the spot. I don't think so. Again, I just want RTS though. That's the thing. If it wasn't RTS, I would be a little bit more open to switching. But I just want RTS in the team. So I think if we don't have 100k saved in the bank, it's not the worst thing in the world. Because... yeah, actually, yeah. The thing we could do is if Tupanua is actually out for a decent amount of time with an injury, or if Piacora's head knocks with the issues he's had, he's going to be out for a bit, you could downgrade one of these guys just straight back to Morgan Smithies. It would be a little bit dicey because the job security for then Chan and Smithies is a little bit up in the air, but you could do it. You could definitely do it. Also, Jai Arrow. Yeah, Jai Arrow could get downgraded pretty easily as well. You could get rid of both these guys, but the thing is, I'd probably want Terrell May next week. I wouldn't... I would want to make one trade, so that's where I'm in the air. But that'll wrap up the video. There's not too many more decisions to make. I'm pretty much locked in. The only decision is if I do try to make the 100k and be able to straight swap Lenu for Terrell May next week. I would love to do that without having to make another trade, because using trades early are nice, but you also, it is nice to also save a couple of trades just when you don't have to make one. And then I guess the only other decision to make is if I do end up having Coruscant, because again, if Ponga kills it, then Coruscant is automatically in. If Ponga doesn't and I don't loop him, then I don't know. Is there any? I'd probably just still go Coruscant. I mean, I don't love having to start Levi. Oh, I don't know. Maybe you just go Robson. I guess you can make you couldn't make enough cash not going Coruscant though, unless you go down to like fucking Little. So I don't know. That's the decision. If I just don't go Coruscant, maybe go Robson. I could do that, but we'll decide. Hopefully, guys enjoyed. Hopefully, we all have a good rest of round one. I'm hoping. I just hope Ponga comes out and kills it Thursday night. So a little bit of pressure's eased, and I don't need to worry too much more about the scoring because the captain kills it. But we'll see what happens, and stay tuned for the wrap up and whatnot after the round. So yeah, make sure to like and comment. I'll see you guys in the next one.